This is Nancy Pelosi went on a podcast. And Nancy Pelosi said, if the election were held today, we would win. We would win it all, she says. She's referring to the donor money. I really put my friggin' face into that joke. I mean, that's called delivering, baby. That's landing. Some people would say mugging. That's part of comedy. People go, oh, just more mugging than out of what? Hey, that's how comedy works. It's called landing the joke. Who are you going to listen to, you or me, who has an award-winning Comedy Central specials? Let's go. Here she go. Okay, I'm going to play her. So here she is. She went on this podcast, Sway. It's interviewed by this woman, Kara Swisher. Two crazy things that happened here. Kara Swisher actually first let's do this.
I know it sounds like a crazy question because you're the most powerful, one of the most powerful politicians in this country and in the world. Have people underestimated your power and the power of Congress, and you particularly? And
first of all, it's a great question. Hey, you're so awesome and powerful. And do people know that? You want me to help spread the word about how awesome and powerful? Anyway, all right, but listen to what Nancy says.
How has that affected your ability to do your jobs and to get things done?
Well, I am very powerful. The power of the speaker is awesome, says she. I don't mean I am, but the power of the speaker is awesome. And we are able to bring legislation to the floor. We're able also to stop certain initiatives of the other side, should they have the White House or the other body.
So has an awesome power. The power is awesome. Isn't that what you said? Did you say awesome? So her power, the power of the speaker, the power she has is awesome. She could use it for many different things. One of them is to stop what the Republicans want to do. It's weird that she's never done that. But theoretically, I guess she could stop what the Republicans are doing, because I don't know if you remember, Nancy Pelosi did not fund the states for coronavirus. She did give you a friendly reminder. Your federal government has completely turned their back on you with nothing but a one-time $1,200 FU check for 6 months and counting. So she did that. And by the way, humility is a virtue, isn't it? But who needs that when you've got a $12,000 freezer? So do you remember when when they were doing the CARES Act, we were screaming bloody murder. Nobody else was, by the way, in the news media. We were screaming bloody murder about how Nancy Pelosi was giving Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, and the 1% donor class everything they wanted and nothing for you, because during the CARES Act was when they had all their power. And Andrew Cuomo even was upset. Remember this? Remember Andrew Cuomo said this on CNN?
We've been talking about funding for state and local governments, and it was not in the bill that the House is going to pass today. They said, don't worry, the next bill. I said to my colleagues in Washington, I would have insisted that state and local funding was in this current bill, because I don't believe they want to fund state and local governments.
And he was correct. Now, this is back in March. And he was saying, why didn't the Democrats who own the House? By the way, Trump can't spend a penny without Nancy Pelosi giving them the money. So that money that got spent during the CARES Act, that $5 trillion, Nancy Pelosi, that could not get spent, could not have get done if Nancy Pelosi didn't engineer it, and she did. And so Andrew Cuomo's like, why did you pass this without giving us money? We we need it. And here's what she said.
So Cuomo says he would have insisted on state funding in the last bill. And now Senator McConnell is saying he wants to push the pause button.
Yes.
Was this a tactical mistake by you and Senator Schumer?
Just calm down. We will have state and local, and we will have it in a very significant way.
There has been no state. It's October. It's almost October. What is today's date? September 29th?
Yep.
It's almost October. That was March. Calm down. She told people who are out of jobs. She told governors who have no money to pay for service. She said, calm down. We're gonna fund it, and it's gonna be fine. It's now almost October. No funding, and she doesn't give a crap. By the way, she went on vacation since she did this. She went on a nice month-long vacation after she did this. So here we go. So
It's no use going on to what might have been. The administration never even wanted to do. Let me recap this for you. When we said we're not doing 250 on...
no, I don't care. I don't care what she says. So now, keep all this in mind. Keep all that in mind. She's the most powerful person. She's got awesome power of the speaker. She can stop Republican initiatives whenever she wants. Here she goes. Ready? Here we go. Well, then, and then this reporter actually asks her a question.
Where do you go? Where? Because people are, whatever the Republicans do, people are also going to blame the Democrats.
You know what? We have to take responsibility. We're not worrying about that. What we're worrying about is the fact that millions of people are hungry, on the verge of eviction, concerned about sending their children to school in an unsafe way, having uncertainty, especially in communities of color, that this virus is spreading in a disproportionate way in their communities.
Right.
The state and local government has nothing but the disdain of the president, who says he's not going to respect our heroes, our healthcare workers, our police and fire first responders, our transportation, our sanitation, our food workers.
She's just naming stuff now. She's just naming words and things and occupations. What she's doing is identity politics. Because she's not doing anything for those people either that she's mentioning. But she's just mentioning their names, so you'll associate her with them. That's straight up. So listen, and so the reporter is starting to go, well, watch what she asks.
Our teachers, our teachers, our teachers. We would not be functioning as a society without our state and local governments. And the president says, we're not sending any money. It's blue states.
All right.
Really?
Where do you press then? Like when you did the ACA, which I think is most people really attribute to your muscling it through, you said you go through a gate. If the gate's closed, you go over the fence. If the fence is too high, we'll pole vault in. If that doesn't work, we'll parachute in. We're going to get healthcare reform passed for the American people. Where is your pole vault here? It seems like, where is that for?
So here's an actual reporter 4 years into the Trump administration asking Nancy Pelosi, what are you doing specifically to push your agenda? What are you doing to pole vault the left's agenda on Trump? And what are you doing specifically to stop him? Here's what she says.
You. And aside from the Republicans, how are you going to use your power to make them do something?
Well, I believe in the American people. They understand people are hurting. We have to meet their needs, not to give the president a chance to just say,
how are you meeting their needs? She won't say it. And you know why? Because she's not meeting their needs. Nancy Pelosi isn't doing a goddamn thing. And just like this reporter pointed out, when you were trying to pass the ACA, you said you'd do a pole vault. You go over the fence, around it, under, you get it done. What are you doing to show that you're doing that now? Where's your pole vault now? There isn't one, and she just keeps talking. So this whole thing is to make it crystal clear that Nancy Pelosi is controlled opposition. If you think Nancy Pelosi is the opposition to Trump, you are a chump.
I'm going to put my name on a check, send it out, and don't talk to me about food, rent, first responders, healthcare workers, the virus, or anything else. That's all he wants is his name on a check that goes out. Well, and
all due respect, what's the difference? So, as long as the people get the money, like what?
So the reporter. So what's the difference? As long as the people get the money, you want to stop money going to people because Donald Trump's name will be on the check. People are hurting, and Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to help them because she doesn't want Donald Trump to get credit for it before the election. And that is a fact. So if you don't have help right now during coronavirus after the government made you close down your business and you lost your job, you're not getting relief because Nancy Pelosi is playing politics. She doesn't want to do something that would make Trump look good before the election. She's not helping you.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Perhaps I'm not clear.
Okay.
No, you're not.
State and local government provide everything for us. There's where our services largely come from. If you want to talk about education, we're unhappy about the kind of money and how they want to spend it at the federal level. But that's a small percentage of the money. Over 90% of the money comes from state and local government, which is firing teachers as we speak. So we're looking at it comprehensively. You're saying just so they have a check in their pocket, it doesn't matter.
I get that.
If they have
So
food
what
and
is
a rent.
your pole vault to get there?
So what are you? Okay, all right.
Whoa.
So you want to deny him that check, and you got all these other things that we have to take care of. What are you doing to do this? What are you using to make sure all this stuff you just said is happening? What are you doing specifically? This is what the reporter's question is, and she's not doing anything, and so she has no answer. Watch this.
How are you going to pole vault over this?
We're just going to keep making our case.
What is that case, by the way?
We're just going to keep making that case. We're just going to keep making our case. What? What do you mean you're going to keep making your case? You just said you were the most powerful, the awesome power of the speaker. And she asked, what are you going to do specifically? No, we're just going to keep making our case. You mean you're going to keep going on TV and talking? Yes. You're going to keep going on podcasts and talking about what a bad guy Donald Trump is? Yes. That's what she means. That's it. The most powerful person in the Democratic Party. The second most powerful person in the whole goddamn country. In the world, possibly. What are you going to do to get your agenda passed? Nothing. I'm going to go on TV and podcasts and talk about what a creep Donald Trump is.
And
I'll back it up.
Check in their pocket. It doesn't matter.
I get that.
If they have
So
food
what
and a
is
rent.
your pole vault to get there? How are you going to pole vault over this?
We're just going to keep making our case. And I want to tell you something. You may not know this.
Tell me.
The poll that came out, 49 to 30, the American people support how the congressional Democrats are supporting the coronavirus challenge.
So you're just going to keep making but the actual mechanics, the operational
Yes.
mechanics of making it happen.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic?
Yeah, well,
But the actual mechanic, what are you doing? Nothing. So you can go ahead and vote for Democrats. You can vote for Joe Biden all you want. You can vote extra hard. You can vote extra early. But when Joe Biden wins the presidency, you just have another huge effing problem. And it starts with 100 millionaire Nancy Pelosi, who is a war criminal and a regular criminal. You know who gets rich while they're in government? Criminals. And who said that? Harry Truman. Who got rich while she was in government? Nancy Pelosi, who is legit war criminal and a real, regular, everyday criminal. She's complicit in torture. The most powerful. Oh, remember how powerful she said she was? And what are you doing? Nothing. What? Remember how you said you got a pole vault over if the fence is locked, you got a pole vault over it? What's your pole vault? Nothing. So if you think voting Democrat is a solution, you're a chump or a willful idiot. Did I say Trump? I meant Biden.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. Either way,
or.
it works.
Come on.
It works. Joe Biden is another problem. Some people say Joe Biden is a more insidious problem because the left goes to sleep when the Democrats are in control, just like the Democrats don't know that Nancy Pelosi is actually a Republican. Just like guys like all your blue check Hollywood fucks. They don't know that Nancy Pelosi actually isn't opposing Donald Trump, except in the most professional wrestling type way. She loves Donald Trump because she fundraises off him. She doesn't actually oppose him. She's not using the power of the speakership to do anything. What's your pole vault? Here, I'll play it again.
Coronavirus challenge.
So you're just going to keep making
I don't
So
even understand what
you're just going to keep making your stupid case to the American public? That's what you're not. So you could do this whether you were speaker or not. But what are you doing with the speaker power? What are you doing with the speaker power? Nothing. What are you doing with the speaker power? So the reporter goes, so you're just going to keep making the case you're not going to do anything? But what are you doing with the speaker power, the mechanics?
the actual mechanics, the operational
Yes.
mechanics of making it happen.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic?
Yeah, well, we are legislating.
Okay.
We are
Okay.
legislating.
Okay.
And if the president does not want to legislate and just wants to have his name on a check, that ain't going to happen.
That is Nancy Pelosi being smug about denying you money relief during a pandemic and smugly saying it. She's bragging that she's going to deny you help right now. That ain't going to happen. What? And that reporter rolled over pretty quickly. It was so funny. That reporter asked 3 good questions in a row and then just, okay. Nancy Pelosi engineered the CARES Act. Nancy Pelosi made sure. How did the coronavirus stimulus package? It passed on a voice vote. Why did she do that? Because she knew it was horrible. And so then people like AOC could lie and say she was actually opposing Nancy Pelosi's coronavirus package when she was not. She voted for it. Every Democrat voted for it. Every single one, including Bernie Sanders. The largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of humankind. It was engineered by Nancy Pelosi and voted for by the squad, AOC, and Bernie Sanders. And now, who's being naive, Kay? You think voting for a goddamn Democrat is a solution to anything. You are a chump of the highest order or a willful idiot. I'll also throw in plain just uninformed on purpose. House approves the CARE Act by a voice vote. No recorded vote was requested. So if AOC wants to say she voted against it, why didn't she request a recorded vote? Because she didn't. So I just want everybody to hear that. Nancy Pelosi says she's the most powerful person. She has awesome power of the speakership. She could stop Republicans' initiatives, which she could. And when asked, what are you doing to stop them? Nothing. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing with the awesome power of the speakership to help people in the middle of the pandemic and in the middle of an economic depression? Nothing. I'm nothing. I'm going to keep going making the case. I was told by people, and I didn't believe it. I thought they were being cynical. They said Nancy Pelosi's not going to do anything to help people during the pandemic until after the election. Mm-hmm. That's what people told me. And I was like, I'm a cynical mother. That's pretty cynical, man. Come on. She's not going to help people. People are going to be getting kicked out of their house. People don't have health care. She's not going to help. People don't have their jobs because the government told them to shut down. She's not going to help people during the... Come on. They said she's not going to do it. These are insiders in the Democratic Party told me this. They said she's not going to do it until after the election. And here it is. And that's just wrestling anyway. Because she doesn't really oppose it. She loved... The CARES Act was done. It's over. It's all over. That was the one time the Democrats had leverage to do something, and they didn't. Okay, so more. This interview goes on, and it gets worse. I think we're going to talk about the Supreme Court here. Let's see.
You know, whether you like it or not. And you have to keep moving forward with your political goals, right?
Well, I don't think that it was appropriate.
You have to keep moving forward with your political goals, right? Okay.
That within hours of the news of her passing came forth that the leader in the Senate made his announcement. I think cruel.
Okay, but
and
Trump
inappropriate.
Has a list of frontrunners to replace Justice Ginsburg and said that he'll announce his nomination this week. But is there anything you can do to influence what happens next?
Well, I have arrows in my quiver, the House quiver, and one.
But I will also say that all of my arrows are made by Nerf. What kind of an out of touch? By the way, we got to stop this arrows and quiver shit. A quiver? You know, I had no idea what a quiver. I had to look up what the F they were talking about. A quiver? Hey, I didn't go to boarding school. A quiver? A quiver. That's, I guess, the thing they put the arrows in. It's called a quiver. So you pull out what? Who does this? That's this certainly connecting with those 100 million people who don't vote.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, she has all these quivers. Okay, here we go. She has all these arrows in her quiver.
My arrows is not to say what the arrows are.
Okay.
But I will say this, vote, 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 vote. Mm-hmm. It's so important that the prospect of...
Yes, vote for someone who may do something, but they can't tell you. That's inspiring.
People voting, I think, will be a message to the Republicans about how...
She just said, well, what is your arrows and what are you going to do? I can't tell you what I'm going to do, but vote for us. She just said that. What are your arrows? Well, one of my arrows is not telling you what they are, but vote for you? This is a real thing. So Nancy Pelosi has never been asked a question in 4 frickin' years since Trump has been elected. She's finally getting asked questions by this Kara woman, and she doesn't have, it's, oh my God.
Receptive they are to moving so quickly on this.
So just keep this in mind. The Democrats could do a dozen different things to stall Trump's nominee from being nominated to the Supreme Court, yet they don't and won't. Republicans are paid to be the aggressors, and Democrats are paid to be weak. If you don't understand this by now, you are in a coma. Do you hear, Nancy Pelosi? What are you doing for the people in pandemic? Nothing. We're just going to nothing. We're certainly not going to let Trump send a check to people to help them. What about the Supreme Court? What are you doing? Nothing. It's funny liberals accuse the left of not caring about this situation, while someone like Pelosi has more power than every single one of us, but refuses to do anything with it. Who's the one really not taking this shit seriously? Don't you know asking politicians to do their jobs isn't civil, and the most important thing of all is civility? FYI, I tweeted out this podcast and her saying this. When asked whether Pelosi is using all her quivers all the arrows in her quiver to stop Trump from replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Pelosi implies that she doesn't think Republicans are going to overturn Roe anyway. Oh, I'm going to play that in a second. FYI to my blue check Hollywood friends, no matter what Rachel Maddow tells you, the Democrats do not oppose Donald Trump, and you are chumps. Oh, by the way, she did take a vacation during the pandemic. Congress, the only time Congress acts swiftly is when it's to go on vacation or to approve a war budget. Hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Let's go on vacation. More Nancy Pelosi.
All right. When you talk about this idea of Bill Barr, him being an employee or a henchman, which is your word, you still have power to do something about it, to hit harder.
He's a waste of time. I think he's a waste.
Oh, you could do something about this. Why don't you? What? Nah, I'm not gonna. It's a waste of time to do something about it. It's a waste of time to do something about Bill Barr? I'm not going to do anything. But then the reporter's like, but you could do something. Yeah, I'm not going to.
Right now, we have the election. The fact is, he's not worth it because we have a pandemic. And it's hard enough to...
And I already told you I'm not doing anything to help people during the pandemic. So now she's going to pretend now like she's actually doing something during the pandemic. She's not doing anything.
Convince this administration that they should stop the pandemic than to waste our time on Barr.
So I'm going to play that. I'm going to start over.
Go ahead.
All right. When you talk about this idea of Bill Barr, him being an employee or a henchman, which is your word, you still have power to do something about it, to hit harder.
He's a waste of time. I think he's a waste of time. Right now, we have the election. The fact is, he's not worth it because we have a pandemic. And it's hard enough to convince this administration that they should stop the pandemic than to waste our time
What about you? What are you doing to help stop the pandemic? I thought you're super powerful. What are you doing? I'm just here to whine and hope that Donald Trump does something. And I'll try to shame Donald Trump into doing something, but I'm not actually going to do anything. Come on, we have a pandemic that I'm doing nothing about. And I have an election that we're not really trying to win. I don't have time to waste time.
On Barr.
All right, so let's
that's what
focus
I
on
think.
Trump then. So he's a
Okay,
waste.
so you're not going to do anything with William Barr, which you could. Let's focus on the stuff you could be doing with Trump. Watch this.
Times that Trump is not. So one person wrote yesterday on Twitter, of all things, the instinct to compromise looks like capitulation. And what was interesting is many years ago, Rahm Emanuel said about you, a lot of Democrats are uncomfortable with the use of power. Nancy Pelosi is not. What can you do to rein in the power of the president? It seems like this is not just, it's persistent, it's relentless, it doesn't stop. You're fixing something over here, then something happens over here. It's everywhere. So how do you rein in the power of the president? If you want to not look at his henchmen, if you want to not look at his employees, how do you do that?
Well, we're going to have to win the United States Senate.
Remember that, taking over the House, turn it blue so Nancy Pelosi could be a check on politics? Oh, how do you do that? She just got done telling us how unbelievably powerful the House Speaker is. Hey, the House Speaker has a lot of power. Lots of stuff we can do. A few minutes later, she says, what can we do to reel in the president? Well, we need the Senate.
What we have in the Congress of the United States are just a herd of enablers of the president.
No, you're the enabler of the president, Nancy Pelosi. You are the enabler. You pass his entire agenda. You even gave Trump money for his border wall. You gave him an extra $132 billion to go bomb people as you were claiming he was working for Vladimir Putin.
That's who they are. You know, people have to understand. They say to me, oh, I bet those members of Congress are so embarrassed by him. No, he's their guy. He's their guy. Name any.
Remember, the question was, what are you doing to put a check on Bill Barr? What are you doing to put a check on Donald Trump? Do you hear what she's saying? Those guys are bad guys. But what are you doing? Did you see how bad they are? This is professional wrestling, you dupes who think Nancy Pelosi is the opposition.
Subject. Name a woman's right to choose, LGBTQ rights, climate issues, immigration, gun safety, fairness in our economy. He's their champion. They think just like him. They are the current version of congressional Republican. I tell people in the Republican Party, take back your party. This isn't who you are. You've been hijacked.
All right,
But and then we have to win the White House. But let me just say that even with the Democrat in the White House, even if it's a Democrat, we do think there have to be guardrails more pronounced. So we have to make sure
to make them
that
stronger,
whoever the president is, Democratic or Republican.
Did you hear what she just said? There's currently a Republican in the presidency right now. She won't do anything to curb him. But I'm not going to bother reeling in the current Republican president, but I'll try to make sure I reel in the future Democratic one. That way, it's easier to make excuses when nothing changes. You can't parody this. Here she is ripping up his. Now that's why when I'm Tucker Carlson, so I can tell everybody who watches Tucker Carlson that this was theater. That Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump are working together for the 1%, not against them, for them. They are the 1%. Nancy Pelosi, right before she ripped this up, passed his entire legislative agenda.
All right, so your relationship with President Trump is an interesting one. You serve as a foil for him in a lot of ways. You've never been shy to speak your mind with him, like ripping up his speech at the State of the Union. You're Speaker of the House, though, and you haven't spoken to him in almost a year. Do you get a sense that that you should be speaking to him, given you are the most powerful Democrat at this moment?
I speak to him every day. in the public domain.
In the public domain.
That's
What
how
about
he hears things.
Right.
That's how he hears things. And again, I want to have a witness to what I have to say to him.
one of your ways is sort of to treat him like a baby and somewhat like a moron. I mean, the way you talk to him. Do you think, is this theatrical or is there really a behind the scenes that is going on?
No, it's spontaneous of the moment.
Right.
The tearing up of the speech, I was about halfway through the speech when I decided to do that.
Right, but these are theatrics.
Quite spontaneous.
Oh.
Well, it was spontaneous.
Who is your audience? Is it him? Are you trying to get under his skin? What's the goal?
No, it's not. I mean, the audience was my own integrity. I couldn't.
Her audience was her own integrity. In other words, the show was canceled due to no attendance.
Speech was a pack of lies. A pack of lies. So I thought, well, I'll tear that page. I was thinking, I got to tear that page up. It's a lie. That page and that page. And then finally it was like the whole speech was a pack of lies. And he dishonored the chamber of the House of Representatives by being so political. We don't do that.
All right, but let me just say, you're not Nancy the suburban housewife just sitting there tearing up papers. You're Nancy the Speaker of the House.
Right, Speaker of the House. Co-equal branch of government. The Article 1, the first branch of government.
So you felt
Tearing
this
up
was,
his speech.
even though in these moments it's quite dramatic, whether it's the sunglasses, whether it's the tearing up of the speech, whether it's the tiny clapping. Do you, it's, well, the tiny, I don't know what
like
else
the best when I'm pointing to him with you, Mr. President, all roads lead to Putin, and he put out the picture.
Yeah.
He put out the picture. I was like,
he
what?
did.
Thank you
so
very
that's your
much.
favorite. Okay, all right, that's your favorite.
No,
Okay.
it is.
So, but at the same time, some people think that you don't go far enough, that you're too operational. I've had several different people I talked to saying the impeachment wasn't far enough.
Well, how
as
far
you
can we
did,
go? We are not the Senate.
I understand that, but do you think taking baby steps has been helpful with this
I don't
president?
think impeaching the president is taking baby steps.
Okay.
And by the way, I have two things to say about your question.
Okay.
One is that I have great reliance on my committees and how they develop what they think is the best way for us to proceed. It's not me telling other people. We build consensus. That's why we have unity in our caucus.
Sure.
In spite of all of our differences, and they are vast, we build consensus, and that was the consensus, and that's how we went forward. As far as my own behavior, apart from what the committees and this or that, what I have, says she immodestly, is authenticity. And that's what I do, what I believe, and that's what it is. And that's why the election is important, to send a message to these senators who are up this time. We're here. We know what's happening. And again, some people who are not particularly Democratic or Republican, but do care about a pre-existing condition. Millions more of them now because of the coronavirus.
All right, if the court overturned...
And Nancy, take a glass, drink of water. You know that thing that they're going to privatize while you're still in office?
Let me give you one of your arrows in your quiver. If the court overturns Roe, but you have Biden and a Democratic Senate, what will you do specifically to help protect abortion rights in red states? And
So what are you, you're the most powerful person, super awesome power. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to protect abortion rights? Her answer just may surprise you, or will it? The answer is nothing. Spoiler alert.
you do anything if the GOP keeps the Senate?
Well, that would be much harder. That's why we want people to vote now. Let me just say this. They've had the House and Senate and Republican president for a while. They, by and large, been fakers on the Roe v. Wade when they could have done it. They didn't. They just like to use it. But now I think with the, shall we say...
So I don't know what just happened there. I don't know if you know what just happened, but what just happened there was called a gaffe. Because what Nancy Pelosi, and what is a gaffe? In Washington, D.C., a gaffe is when you accidentally tell the truth. And so what Nancy Pelosi just did there, you know how you're supposed to vote Democrat because they're going to protect abortion rights? And that because of the Supreme Court and all that stuff. And she's saying, she asked her, what are you doing? Nancy Pelosi just said that you don't have to worry about abortion rights. That's just a bluff issue by the Republicans. They're never going to take it away. They've had control of the government before and they didn't do it, so they're not going to do it. So that's a non-issue. You don't have to worry about voting on abortion ever again. That's what she just said. So when the Democrats use abortion to get your vote, she says that they're faking. Because Nancy Pelosi just said the Republicans are never going to repeal abortion. That's a fake issue. So you don't have to vote for the Democrats because of abortion.
Had the House and Senate and let me just say this. They've had the House and Senate and Republican president for a while. Mm-hmm. They, by and large, been fakers on the Roe v. Wade when they could have done it. They didn't. They just like to use it. But now I think with the...
They're fakers, she says. It's not a real issue. You don't have to worry about it. That's why she's not doing anything.
Say, I don't know what the word is to use about this president, but the lack of balance that is there, you never know what he may try to do. But this is vital. And if the court cares anything about precedent, they will not overturn Roe v. Wade.
All right, but specifically, what can you do? Are there things you could pass to protect these? Because there will be abortions in certain states if it's overturned, and there won't be in others. And of course, abortion rights have been made smaller all over the country and restricted. What specifically do you have in mind to protect those rights?
Nothing.
Right now, what we're fighting is some decisions in the court which may not overturn Roe v. Wade, but will enable states to effectively deprive a woman of that right. So that's
the game.
That is, or they could overturn the whole law, which would, I think, cause such an outcry for them that they might even find that, as we say, too hot to handle.
Did she just say 3 different things at once there? Yes. She said the abortion thing isn't an issue, but it might be. She realized, oh, shit, I told the truth. You got to be scared about abortion. I mean, you got to be scared about it because anything could happen. You know that thing I said was never going to happen? It could. I forgot. I have to use that to raise money. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.